don't let people decide your path. I guess my mom has always taught me, don't let others decide your path for your life. Something that you want to do, you do it. And you just show them through, whatever you are doing, whether it's swimming, whether it's your academics, you just show them through the scores you get or, through the different times that you get. So I guess I just focused more on proving people wrong than arguing about it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Journey. This is part 2 of our conversation with the Howard University head coach, Nick Askew, and Howard graduate, Latroya Pina, who is preparing to compete in the Tokyo Olympics in 2021. It's so great to have you guys back here with us. Both of you grew up swimming at a time when people still believed that African Americans could not swim and that competitive swimming was not a sport they should choose. But the two of you did, and now Nick, you're the head coach of the only Division I swim team in the group of historically Black colleges and universities, and Latroya, you're getting ready to swim at the Olympics. So both of you are challenging the norms every day. Latroya, growing up in a mostly white suburb in Massachusetts, what kind of obstacles did you face when it came to wanting to be a great competitive swimmer?
Well, okay. I kind of get this question a lot from people. Typically someone would have so many obstacles, but for me, growing up, my mom always taught me, not to focus on what other people's opinions are of you. So I think for me, the biggest thing is people would talk and say whatever they would say. I've had people say bad comments and stuff to me, but I never focused on them. I just mainly focused on, what is my goal and why am I doing this? Because I love to do this. So like growing up when I was a child, one of my incidents that I will never forget was I was swimming against this young girl, and I ended up winning the race. And everyone knows in swimming, you always shake your opponent's hand at the end of the race and just say, good swim, or it was always, just a gesture that everyone did at the end of a race without meaning anything, harmful against the other person, like whether you lose, you win, whatever. And I had said, good swim to the young girl. And in the locker room, she was like, yeah, that black girl over there, I used to wear my hair in braids. And she's like, that black girl over there with the braids, she just thinks that she's fast. And she was just talking all this, she was just talking bad about me. And I didn't do anything wrong to her. And I just left it as it was. And I continued on about my way, but like those things, I just tried not to let it bother me. I think they more drove me. What people had to say, I just would show them through my swimming, if that makes any sense. Instead of focusing on it, I let it drive me to become a better swimmer. So yeah, at school, I had comments in high school. I took it as a joke. Like I always made things, ha ha ha, it was a joke, but they used to call me the Black Jesus. I don't know if that was supposed to be a bad thing or a good thing, but me, I just made it as a joke. I would be like, ha ha ha, like, yep, like, and just kind of shake it off, just let it be. And they'd be like, wow, you're fast for a Black girl. And it's like, what is a Black girl supposed to be? Slow? Like, you just kind of, I don't know, you just kind of don't let people decide your path. I guess my mom has always taught me, don't let others decide your path for your life. Something that you want to do, you do it. And you just show them through, whatever you are doing, whether it's swimming, whether it's your academics, you just show them through the scores you get or, through the different times that you get. So I guess I just focused more on proving people wrong than arguing about it.
How did it make you feel that you saw very, very few people who looked like you on the pool deck at swim practices or at swim meets even?
Oh man, okay. That one's a good one. It kind of stinks to not see too many people who are like you. That's why when I told you the two girls who I had at age group swimming, we became close because of our ethnicities. So, oh, shoot. they both were they both swam in the same LSC as me. We weren't always on the same swim teams, but we became close because, oh, that's another Black girl, like, who is swimming. And, we all three of us became really close before we even were on the same swim team. And then before we even all chose to go to Howard University. So I think it was hard to not see anyone like you, but when you did see someone like you, it made you happy to see like others who are also performing the sport that you love. I think that's, as I said earlier, that's one of the reasons why I chose Howard, was because, I was putting myself in an environment where majority did look like me. Whereas I was growing up, I was in opposite. I one who looked like me. So, yeah.
Well, Nick, I would imagine that a lot of the things that Latroya has said about her experience growing up in the sport applies to you as well.
Yeah, there's no question. It's interesting for me now as a coach. I see things even more differently than I did as a collegiate athlete, and even more differently than I did as an age group and high school athlete. There's just so many different instances, and I have the fortune of being able to sit down and talk to my team and to talk to them one-on-one. They don't have an open door policy. They'll come into the office and we'll just chat away for the whole day and be like, oh my gosh, what time is it? I got to get to class kind of conversations. And it's always warming to hear them open up about their experiences, and to hear that, wow, I remember when I was in, the same circumstances, or have heard of those different things from some of the peers that I had, in college and whatnot. And, growing up in North Carolina, there were very few Blacks or people of color, minorities in general, that were swimming at a elite age group level. We did have summer leagues, which had more minorities participating in those, but once the summer was over, it really kind of boiled down to those that were year round. And again, having the fortune of having an older brother or two older brothers that were in the pool and swam and were lifeguards, I did have that role model continue to look at. But I know that until I got to Howard, I didn't realize how much that I needed and how much I was missing being around other swimmers who shared similar experiences to me. And, even now as a coach, it's still very nice to go onto the pool deck. It's very nice to be able to go into the pool deck at a competition and having a team of over 40 swimmers and divers that are predominantly Black or of color, representing, because that's an image that you don't see at the collegiate level. And to go in and to know that, they're representing at the highest level of competition for Division I athletics. So it's all kind of, it's one big circle for me and seeing it at the different levels. And I'm just really glad to have such a great team and have been in a position as a coach to be around such amazing young men and women, and to be there to support them through their journeys, and some very difficult, for sure, being the only one or feeling like the only one at times.
And Latroya, like most Black families, there was a history of nobody knowing how to swim before you took swim lessons at a very young age. So after you learned to swim and after you became a part of the swim team, were there other sports that you put aside and said, nope, I don't want to do those, I want to be a swimmer?
Okay, so I actually started off as a gymnast when I was super young. So that was a choice that I had to make, whether I was going to continue with gymnastics or continue with swimming. I ended up obviously choosing swimming. um, I think that I just loved swimming, and swimming came to me. I loved gymnastics as well, but just like swimming, gymnastics also has its challenges with the whole race thing. But I think that, I don't know, I'm kind of happy I chose swimming over gymnastics.
I think your body's probably really happy you chose swimming over gymnastics.
I think it is as well.
She still has a lot of those skills. It's funny,
Yeah.
there was a time where Latroya had said, Coach Nick, can I dive? And I was like, oh, no, no, get on the diving board. She's like, but I used to be a gymnast. I'm like, that's fine. And then one day I think she snuck on the diving board and she actually did a 1.5 somersault. And I was like, oh, she actually does have some skills there. And then there was another time where we were being honored at halftime at a basketball game. And she goes, Coach Nick, can I tumble across, the floor and do backflips as the team comes out? And I was like, no, you're a scholarship athlete. We can't afford to have you do that. And, finally I was like, you know what, go ahead. And she literally tumbled from one end all the way to the other. It was really cool to see her. And so she had skills.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's interesting that you picked swimming, because I know a lot of gymnasts who wanted to get out of gymnastics and they went to diving. Did you ever think that diving was going to be something for you, Latroya?
No. Honestly, I didn't ever think diving was going to be something for me. I mean, I fooled around in college, tell Coach Nick, hey, maybe I should do a dive meet, and he would always shut it down. But I think, I don't know, I was so attached with swimming, I didn't even think of diving as an option. I also was very afraid of flopping. Can't lie. I flopped a couple times and it was not the best feeling.
Yeah, that'll get you out of the sport real quick.
Yep.
Well, so you took swim lessons, and as we said, your two younger siblings, Troy and Jayla, got swim lessons. They're now in the sport. They're now going to the Olympics. I just understand you have another younger brother who just learned how to swim as well. So it seems like the tradition is continuing.
Yes. For him, mainly, we just wanted him to at least learn how to swim. Whether he liked it as a sport or not, we weren't really too concerned about that. As Coach Nick said, there's a 65% of Black people who either don't know how to swim or drown due to swimming. And that's just one of our biggest goals, at least knowing how to swim. Whether you take it on and make it a sport of yours, that's up to him. We would love him to swim, and he loves to swim himself. So ironically, my mom's like, why didn't he like any other sport? But he loves swimming. So yeah, that's really our main focus, was just knowing how to swim.
Yeah. So this is a question for both of you, and you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but obviously you enjoyed the sport when you were very young, but when you got to Howard, and you saw all these people on deck look like you, shared the same experience, how did your perspective on the sport itself change?
Oh, it made me more excited, I think. For me, the perspective, it drove me to know that there was people like me trying to achieve the same goals as me. So I think it made me more excited. I had a team behind me who were just like me, who wants to swim every day and just wanted to push to be better as a group. And I think that was one of the best things that came of Howard, was the group that I came in with. We worked really hard to push each other and, to achieve a goal of making Howard University a different swim team. And that was one of the goals that we had as a group. We wanted to change the whole dynamic of what the team was. And I think that now that we have seen the team grow, it makes us happy that, we started a change.
Yeah, Latroya is absolutely right. For me, when I came to Howard, it was a wake up, kind of an awakening moment, to be surrounded at the Mecca, by such an amazing abundance of Black excellence for the first time in my life, to see, you know, something different than what mainstream media typically shows of people of color, to see people, you know, going to class and achieving high academic marks, excelling in athletics. It was the first time that I really had that warming feeling of, wow, this is, there's so much more to us than just what the mainstream media is showing. And it also creates what I like to call that positive pressure. You know, I often tell my recruits and even our team, you know, the story of, you know, I never wanted to be that guy or that person that was in the middle of the conversation where someone's going to come up and, you know, and ask you, what's your name, you know, what's your major, what's your GPA? And my friend would say, oh, you know, my name is so-and-so. I'm a mechanical engineering, 3.4 3.4 GPA. And the other one, I'm School of Business, 3.7 GPA. I didn't want to be the guy that said, oh, I'm biology, 2.2 GPA. You know, I didn't want to be that guy that was,
Right.
or that person that was a part of the team and be like, okay, well, what do you swim? Well, I swim breaststroke. What's your time? What's your place? And he'd be like, oh, you know, I got last place or this and that. There was that positive pressure, you know, being on campus of getting more out of yourself and doing more, because I think, you know, growing up, that just society subconsciously gave us that feeling of, you know, there was not a lot of excellence that we could achieve because we couldn't see it. You know, there wasn't a ton of representation. And then, you know, just kind of fast forwarding it to my collegiate coaching career, Latroya, you remember this, we did a Make a Splash event. I think it was your freshman year, and we were very fortunate to have former Olympian, Hall of Fame swimmer for University of Georgia, Maritza McClendon, come to the university and talk openly and candidly, first to our team at practice, but then having another, and then having an opportunity to have all these youth come to Howard University and put on this amazing clinic. And then seeing Latroya, a young freshman Latroya, take a picture. And Ritzy is so good. She lets everyone hold the medals and show the medals. Yeah. And there's a picture of Latroya literally holding, you know, these medals, these world champion medals. And, you know, now you fast forward that now Latroya has a chance to go to the Olympics, you know, and it's just a beautiful image. And I think that having that representation, like a Maritza, or for me, my older brothers, or for somebody else, you know, a Cullen or a Simone, and maybe for some other people at Howard University swimming and dive team, what you could, you know, look forward to is so important. And Howard was really kind of the catalyst, or was the place for me, and I think for so many others.
It's true.
Nick, I'm sure you've had some very interesting stories about comments people have made to the team and you when you guys are traveling.
Yeah, you know, it's so real. You know, the microaggressions, the subconscious biases are absolutely real. And you know, especially now, we've been talking more openly and having those uncomfortable conversations. But, you know, we're traveling to a meet, and, you know, sometimes we have the fortune of being able to fly to go, and we're traveling through the airport, and, you know, people are looking, and obviously we draw a lot of attention because it's a large group. We're all usually dressed alike, and they're, you know, but then you'll hear comments like, they must be the basketball team. Now, mind you, mind you, there's no one on our team that's taller than probably 6'3" or 6'4". So it's completely unrealistic to think that we're any sort form of basketball team, you know, other than maybe a middle school team. And, you know, just little things like that, you know, you hear, and even for us, I think we laugh about them, not because the comment is actually funny, but I think because to think about it that way, it's just funny. It's like, how in the world could you even think that? But yeah, there have been a lot of different stories and things we've had to deal with in the past, some that are, you know, small like that. I mean, there have been some that have been very deliberate. We traveled one time to our mid-season championships, and we were in Richmond, Virginia. And we dealt with a lot of issues with the hotel that we were staying in, and you know, got a lot of phone calls about making noise and all these different type of things. And I'm very strict. My team knows, you know, we don't play because we can't afford to make a lot of the mistakes that other people and other teams make, because there is that mindset that they're up to no good. You know, this many Black people could not be up to any good. And so we talk about that openly, and we say, you know, we always have to be above, do more, and be above standard, so no one could ever get it confused. And you know, the hotel was calling my room and say there's complaints about all this noise and everything. Where to the point I was like, no, that's not us, because I'm sitting in the hallway and I'm monitoring my team to make sure that it's not us. And Latroya, I tell you, I'll sit out in the hallway to make sure, because I don't want us to be in that situation where, you know, it escalates, and now we've got a whole nother set of issues that we may have to deal with. And I know it's unfair, and I tell our team it really is, but you know, this is what we have to deal with, and this is what we have to do. But yeah, there are a lot of stories.
So we're living in a time now when African Americans have made the Olympic swim team and have won many gold medals. How has that changed the mindset of the importance of swimming at Howard?
You know, I think every time we have a situation where a person of color, or a black person, or an African American, especially representing the U.S., which is a dominant force in swimming, it inspires us even more, and it inspires us to be the best version of ourselves. Even if, you know, swimming is it's a sport where your time is your time. It's not like you're going to say, oh, I just saw Simone Manuel get a gold medal, now I'm going to start swimming, and next year I'm going to be able to make the Olympics and get an Olympic gold. Swimming doesn't work like that. So we have a reality check of, okay, the idea is for you to try to be your best. And, you know, one of our former captains, who's actually participating in the Gore project, which is an amazing project by Black Kids Swim, Skylar Smith, is traveling to West Africa, to Senegal, to actually do a commemorative swim at 5K from Dakar to the island of Gore, which is one of the ways that back then Africans tried to avoid the colonizers from enslaving them. So Skylar, on her very first day on Howard University campus, it was the day after Simone won the gold medal, and Skylar, you know, this is when a big buzz was on Howard's campus about swimming, because they, you know, you Google black swimmers, black swimming, Howard's going to pop up. So we had news cameras on campus that day, and they just, out of the blue, they stopped with this young lady with long braids. It happened to be Skylar, who wasn't completely all in about being a swimmer at the collegiate level. And they say, hey, you know, do you swim? Do you know how to swim? And she's like, yes. And well, what do you think about Simone Manuel, you know, winning the Olympic gold, et cetera, et cetera. And she's like, oh, it's great, you know, blah, blah, blah. And she goes on and she's interviewed. And from that moment, it inspired her to commit to the program, to commit to training her heart out, to sacrificing, to being an amazing captain for our program. And that's what I mean by pushing ourselves to be the best version of ourselves. So, you know, whatever that means, that can mean something different, you know, for us individually, but it also tries to inspire, you know, the whole group to push everybody forward.
And I really hope, because of all this, the progress that you've been making, that there is absolutely zero conversation about Howard University swimming and diving being on the chopping block, which is kind of the conversation that's been going on this pandemic. You've probably heard of a lot of the college teams around the country that have been cut.
Yeah, you're right. You know, we're very fortunate. President Dr. Frederick, has been an amazing supporter. Our board of trustees has been an amazing supporter of our program. The Office of Student Affairs, our athletic department, our athletic director, Coach Mr. Kerry Davis, have been amazing supporters of the program. And to be quite honest with you, when I was first given the opportunity to come back to the university and be the head coach, we were not doing well. And they gave the ultimatum, like, coach, if you can't fix this, we're going to cut the program. And that lit a fire under me to make sure that we excelled in every single aspect that we possibly could. So not only are we doing extremely well academically, we're also doing extremely well athletically in the pool or on the diving board, but we're also doing the community service. We're giving back, participating in Make a Splash events, doing Learn to Swim programs just at Howard University. We're looking to create a new a diving club in the Washington, D.C. area that has no diving clubs whatsoever, which is, you know, mind-boggling that you're in the nation's capital and there are really no diving clubs, especially that are geared towards the African American community, the community predominantly within the Washington, D.C. area. We're doing our own fundraising, and we're trying to get the messaging out there to the point where even our team now is doing a project called No Cap Hands Up, which is kind of a social awareness, you know, during these times where we're essentially saying that we need to be paying attention to what's going on, and we need to be a part of the solution, and we don't need to just stand by and sit, you know, on our couch while all these things are going on. The world is paying attention, and we have everyone kind of looking for how to be more proactive at being anti-racist. So I'm really proud of the team and everything they've done. I'm pretty demanding, but I think it all pays off in the end. And I think as my athletes have seen, you know, it does make a difference, and it's tough to see it when you're going through it, but it absolutely makes a difference. And I couldn't be more proud of, you know, their commitment to pushing through.
Absolutely. I can tell you guys are really making a difference regionally, locally, and pretty soon it'll be nationally. Kind of going internationally all the other side of the world. Latroya, I would imagine that your ability for you and your siblings to compete in the Olympics is giving you the opportunity to also inspire other potential athletes who might be able to make the Olympics in Cape Verde, who may not be, you know, your age right now, maybe just 3-4 years old, to have that opportunity to be on the Swimming Olympic team. What kind of things do you think you could do to help inspire them?
So that's one of our main focus as a group, me and my siblings. You know, we want to eventually create a fully functioning swim program there. Right now they have small programs, and hopefully they will expand, especially now that they actually have a 50-meter pool. So before this, they were only able to train in like hotel pools, which are typically not even like, they're not even like 10 yards, well, probably meters, because everything there is done in meters, but they're pretty small pools. So, you know, with the completion of their pool, we want to start programs, start getting more people to swim. Recently, I think they had a young girl swim the 50 breaststroke. She did pretty good. So they are working towards getting more swimmers out in Cape Verde, which is super exciting for us because, you know, that's one of the goals that we want to achieve, and we want a lot of people to even know how to swim. My mom, who was actually born in Cape Verde, doesn't know how to swim. Ironically, it's surrounded by ocean, but it's just something that she never got around to, and it's kind of ironic because now we all swim and my mom doesn't know how to. She can keep herself afloat, but yeah, no, the learning thing I tried, but it just didn't click.
Yeah, we have to change that. We have to make that a complete swimming family.
Yeah. We also just want, you know, even if they don't want to take it as a sport, at least learning how to swim will help protect them, especially the currents there are much stronger than other locations. Like where I am, the current is less dangerous.
Right. And I think that's why we have such an issue with minorities in swimming, is they always say they'll get around to it, or they may live in a place where they don't feel like there's a danger of drowning. And yet, you know, it's summertime, you want to go to a pool, and, you know, you if you want to have that opportunity, you have to learn how to swim. And so sometimes people believe they're much better swimmers than they really are. And that's what leads to this terrible statistic that we have going on right now. But you definitely are doing some great things for Cape Verde, and you and Nick are doing some great things for Howard that, like I said, are going to start spreading around. And it's really inspiring to see, and really just from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for sharing all of that. And Latroya, best of luck to you and your siblings. Nick, best of luck to you and what you're doing at Howard. We know there's some great things coming up in 2021.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Molly. We appreciate the journey, kind of capturing some of the stories about Howard University and about Latroya's destiny to the 2021 Olympics.
We're going to be watching. We're definitely going to be watching. All right. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Again, if you missed our first part of this interview, you can find it on our YouTube channel. This has been a great journey to talk with Nick Askew and Latroya Pina. Thank you so much to both of them. And as we say all the time, it's not just about the destination, also about the journey.